TLB time!
It's archetype time.
Archetype discussion time. Yeah, I mean, we have all the... If you don't have seen the commons and uncommons review,
Yeah,
they're all
okay,
up.
Yeah.
And now it's time to go into the color pairs.
Yeah, we're gonna try at least to
Some of
bone
them are,
out.
Some of them are pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Some of them are, like last time, a bit uncertain what they're really trying to do. We are going to look at the golden uncommon, the signpost uncommon in each color pair.
Yeah.
So, for example, now we're starting with blue-white. There we have the Spire Patrol, 2 and a white and a blue for a 3/2 flying. And when it enters the battlefield, it taps something down and it doesn't untap during its next untap step.
It's enter the battlefield flyers.
Yeah, because last time in Kaladesh it was enter the battlefield effects and value and flying.
And it's kind of the same thing here.
Yeah, it looks like it's the same thing. And some cards that can go in that is, for example, the Infinite Combo guy.
Yeah, the Feather Guardian.
I mean, it's a 4-mana 1/4 that can flicker something.
Yeah.
It exiles another permanent, so if you're lucky enough to get Sahili Rai, as we said last time, you can do infinite.
It should have been a flying cat beast.
But still, it's the new Splinter Twin.
Yeah.
The next, if we look at a white common that can go in the deck, we have Dawn Feather Eagle. It's 5 mana 3/3 flying, and it also has an enter the battlefield's effect. And this is also an anthem effect, so obviously if you go wide and whatever, but it just looks like it could be good in a deck like that.
Yeah, if you can trigger it twice, I guess it's good.
It's flying, it has an effect that if you flicker it, the effect goes again. I mean, it just looks like it could be in that deck.
Yep.
And also if you look at the blue uncommon, that could go into this. If you're really deep into... Because people played Acrobatic Maneuver and Aether... the
Acrobatic Maneuver and Aether Trade
Winds in the last set in some decks. And this is... I mean, you flicker 2 of your creatures. You can line up a block, flicker both of them, get value from the triggers, and also draw a card.
Yeah.
So it's like a double Acrobatic Maneuver.
Yep. And just for 1 more mana.
1 more mana, yeah, and it's blue instead of white.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something. And if you look at some commons, I mean, you have a 5 mana 3/2 in Dispersal Tactician. It has an enter the battlefield effect that you can bounce target artifact. I guess you could set it up so you have something in your own deck that it works with. Otherwise,
it could be a tempo play, I guess.
I mean, if they play like a random 4 or 5 mana artifact creature,
they play Panharmonical on turn 4. You play this and bounce it.
It should find targets, but it's good if you have like a few targets in your own deck. Otherwise, it feels pretty bad. But it's just a card that could go into the deck.
And the next color pair, we have white-black. So if you look at the uncommon, the gold card, it's called the Hidden Stockpile. It has Revolt, so
2 mana.
Yeah, so it's an enchantment which has Revolt.
Yeah.
And it can trigger Revolt by sacking a creature. So
then you get the scry.
And you get a scry. So it's obvious that white-black wants to do shenanigans with Revolt.
And it looks like it wants to do Revolt
a bunch of
repeatedly,
times, yeah.
Not just random. Maybe white-black, if you want to go like deep into Revolt and have a lot of cards that say Revolt and trigger Revolt, maybe white-black is the right place.
Yeah, I think so.
We have some examples in the colors.
So on white we have an uncommon Restoration Specialist. 2 mana 2/1, not great, but it's fine.
Yeah.
But it can trigger Revolt because you can pay white and sack it to return an artifact and an enchantment to your hand.
Up to 1 artifact, up to 1 enchantment.
Yeah.
And obviously then you could have maybe sacrificed an implement.
Yeah.
To trigger Revolt somehow, and then later when you want to Revolt again, you can trigger this, get an implement back, and whatever.
Yeah.
So obviously you can also play other Revolt cards that
yeah.
says destroy target tapped creature and whatever.
And on common we have Countless Gears Renegade, so 2 mana 2/2, fine. But it has Revolt. When it enters the battlefield, you get a 1/1 as well.
A servo. So also just another decent. I mean, it's decent on its own, and it's better with Revolt.
Yeah. And on black, we have a 3-mana 3/2 with Revolt. Uncommon. Vengeful Rebel.
Yeah.
And when it enters the battlefield, if you have Revolt, you can give -3/-3.
I heard
to
someone
an
say
opponent
that this
control.
is what there was an Eldrazi that could process and do -3 Wasteland Strangler.
Yeah.
This is what Wasteland Strangler wanted to be.
Yeah, I guess it is.
It could be better. It's probably easier to trigger Revolt than to process.
Yeah, I think so.
It should be if
should
you have
be.
the correct deck.
And on common, we have a Defiant Salvager. So another 3-mana, but this one's a 2/2. But you can trigger Revolt by sacking an artifact or a creature.
And this is like a card that could go into, if you really care about counters, it could go into that deck.
Yeah, if you have a sacrifice theme.
More aggressive, maybe Artifact Aggro, sack something. This could go there, but it can also work as an engine if you want to go hard on Revolt.
Yeah.
You might need something like this
Yeah.
to be able to do it.
Yep.
So move on to White Red, which in Kaladesh was very aggressive and about. I mean, it was vehicle
Red
aggro,
white vehicles, yeah.
and a lot of like aggressively
3/1s and 2/1s and 3/2s.
all the creatures were going to attack.
Yeah, everything had more power than toughness.
And sometimes when they crewed stuff, vehicles became better. Sometimes when they were tapped, I mean, they triggered.
Yeah.
And now on the uncommon here, Renegade Wheelsmith is a 3-mana 3/2, like a lot of aggro mid-range creatures are. And when it becomes tapped, I mean, it could crew a creature or attack, obviously. Target creature can't block this turn. Very aggro, all in.
Yeah, so it works while crewing and it works while attacking.
Yeah, and it actually rides. I saw on Twitter from South Park, Randy, the wheels that you were sitting on a pole. Looks exactly like that. That's pretty crazy. But it's just play your creatures, tap them, attack.
Pretty straightforward.
So looking at white uncommons that could go into this deck, we have Aeronaut Admiral. It's a 3 and a white for a 3/1 flying, which is aggressive stats. And all vehicles have flying.
Yeah.
Cares about vehicles, does a lot of damage, is good at crewing.
Good at crewing.
And it's a pilot.
Good at crewing. I don't know how relevant the flying vehicles will be, but at least it's
I mean,
its
if they
own
have
theme.
Renegade Freighter, you can't even jump block to by time.
No.
Or whatever. Any of the crew 3 vehicles might
the
be
power is super relevant because
otherwise you just play this as an aggressive flyer.
Yeah.
And a white common, we have Audacious Infiltrator. It's a 2-mana 3/1 with, I guess in this set, some sort of evasion because the servos and random artifact creatures can't block it.
No.
So it's just aggressive. And white red is the most aggressive color. If we look at red, there are a few uncommons that could go into the deck, but we just choose Siege Modification because it's enchant creature or vehicle.
Yeah, it works with vehicles
Already
and it's
there.
super aggressive.
Yeah, 3 mana, double red. I mean, enchanted creature gets +3/+0 and has first strike. And if it is a vehicle, it's like auto crewed.
Yeah.
So obviously, if you have the 1 mana 7/11, or other weird cards,
a 10/11 first strike hitting you on turn 3,
that would be annoying.
Yeah, it would be very annoying.
But so very aggressive, very focused within this archetype, I would say. And looking at the random common that could go into the deck, just frontline rebel 3 mana 3/3 has to attack each turn, but that deck
that's fine.
basically wants to attack each turn.
And you can crew with it if you don't want to attack with just the rebel.
Yeah, since you say you have 3 or 4 vehicles and they have a 4/4.
Yeah.
Then you can crew to make it stay alive.
Exactly.
It's good at crewing because of the power, and it's a good attacker when the opponent is durdling.
Yeah.
And again, they're usually attacking anyway.
Put the enchantment on this, it's a 6/3 first strike.
Yeah, so I mean, it's only for this archetype, I think.
Yeah.
A blue-red control energy deck doesn't really play cards like this.
No.
Moving on.
And we move on to white-green. So the white-green uncommon is Renegade Rallier.
Rallier, yeah.
3 mana 3/2, which has Revolt. So in the last set, the white-green was Fabricate. But now it's more hedging against Revolt, as are white-black. But we think white-green is more bigger creatures, since it has green in it as well.
It has green, so it becomes a bit more stompy. And the weird part about this card is white-black was like recursion in the last set. It was value, recursion, and some enter the battlefield effects.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this guy has revolt and recursion.
Yeah, the revolt trigger says that if a permanent... but you can return target permanent card with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard.
Yeah, some random 2/2 died, you get it back. It could even have revolt itself.
Trigger again.
This can chain revolt, because let's say you have the 2/2 that makes a servo.
Yeah.
If that died,
Yep.
then you can play this when you have revolt, preferably.
Yeah, because it died.
And that guy comes back and revolt triggers again, so you get a chain of a 3/2 into a 2/2 into a 1/1.
Very good turn.
So a lot of value, but it's still now it's more about revolt, as you said.
Yeah. So if we look at the white uncommons here, we have first Deadeye Harpooner, 3 mana 2/2 with revolt.
Yeah.
And when it enters the battlefield, you destroy target tapped creature.
And obviously this can also go into black-white if you want.
Yeah, sure.
We just need to show some different cards.
Yeah. And on common for white, we have the Countless Gears Renegade again. As you said,
yes, because
triggers.
It's a combo with the white-green general.
Yeah.
And this can also go in black-white.
Yeah.
Of course.
And on green, we can look at Hidden Herbalist. So it's 2 mana 2/2. With revolt again. And if revolt triggers, you get 2 green. Green.
In the Gate Crash, I think it was, there was a Gruul 2 mana 2/2 that always, when you cast it, you got 2 mana. That was broken. I played the Gate Crash pre-release and I had like 2 of those and a lot of aggressive creatures.
It's modern playable. People play it in modern.
Yeah, and it will probably be more playable now after all the bannings, because Vehicle Aggro will be a lot better now that all the broken combo decks have been nerfed by Gitaxian Probe.
Yep.
But it's just a good card.
Mm-hmm. And also on common, we have Lifecraft Cavalry, 5 mana 4/4 trample.
Already good.
With revolt, it's a 6/6 trample for 5 mana.
And this could obviously be good in like a cares about counter deck as well, but it since it has revolt, it's more in green white than in green black, for example, even though it would work there too.
Yep. So we're moving on.
If we move to blue black, and this back in Kaladesh was like artifact control.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like it has changed.
No, it's basically the same thing.
It cares about artifacts.
Yeah.
It's probably a more controlling archetype. And, I mean, okay, you can create a 5/5 and beat down. But, I don't know. You need the artifact to get it to work.
Mm-hmm.
And if the artifact dies or enters a graveyard somehow, you can bounce it.
Yeah.
So it's some sort of value.
Touched by Tesseret.
Yeah, it's not super obvious looking at this card, but we still think that blue-black will be a type of control deck.
Yeah.
Based on that, we have the uncommon. The blue uncommon is Reverse Engineer, which is 3 blue for draw 3 cards. But you can also improvise, which basically is Convoke, but with artifacts.
Yeah,
and you can only get away colorless mana.
Sure, but if you have the good version of the deck, you can play this for 3 mana, I guess.
3 mana, draw
2
3.
mana.
And this could also go in any other blue deck that cares about improvise, but we put it here because it's a pretty controlling card.
It is.
You usually want to trade off resources and then draw more cards and win in the late game.
Yep.
Looking at a blue common that could go here again, value. Another blue uncommon that we just wanted to touch on is Trophy Mage.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good card, but obviously if you have a deck that cares about artifacts, facts, you might have random 3-mana artifacts, and it's just value to put out a blocker and draw a card.
Yeah.
Also, a common that could go here is the new Mana Leak.
Yeah, Metallic Rebuke.
Yeah, if you can just use it as a Mana Leak, thanks to improvise with like random artifacts lying
I think
around.
you're gonna play the artifacts that are very cheap.
Yeah.
That you can have as an improvise.
I mean,
Mana Rock
you
or
have
whatever.
implements, you have the puzzle knots, you have prism, you have cards like that. Map. And just having one of those lying around or playing artifact creatures, even if they're just blockers, then Rebuke is turned on by far.
It's not, I mean, in limited, Mana Leak isn't super great, but it's still a good card.
Yeah, and in the constructed, I've already heard that this card is broken.
Yeah.
It's in the right deck. It's a 1-mana Mana Leak almost all the time.
Yep.
So this will be very good there.
Pretty good.
Looking at some black cards that could go into a more controlling shell that cares about artifacts, we have Sly Requisitioner, a 5-mana 2/2 but with improvise, so you could cast it cheaper. And here you have since you have a lot of artifacts in the deck, if an artifact goes to the graveyard, you get value by creating a servo.
Yeah.
Which also fuels improvise.
Exactly. So I guess the minimum requirement is like 3 triggers from this or something. I don't know. I think if you get 2 servos, it's good. You might cast it for 5
for
mana
3.
for 4.
Yeah, but you don't have to cast it for 5.
No, I know, but still, it's
It might be in the right deck.
2 or 3 triggers, I guess.
And a common we put here just because it has Death Touch is the Aether Poisoner.
It's defensive.
Yeah, it's a 2-mana 1/1 Death Touch. All the random rats that has that usually go into the black control decks. And with this guy, you can also get the servos, which can also help with improvise.
Yeah, you can attack. Perhaps you can attack freely turn 2
once
or turn 3. I mean, once.
Yeah,
and you get the servo, and then you're fine.
There are some other value cards, but as we have seen, black didn't really show us a lot of cards that actually
at least
scream
not
that it goes to the archetypes.
No.
So we had to pick and choose a bit.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to blue-red, another super weird archetype, because it's pretty hard to pinpoint what it does.
In the last set we were talking about blue-red because of the uncommon. It had energy on
Whirler
it,
Virtuoso.
and it had Thopters on it. So it was like, oh, it's probably Thopter energy something. But blue-red was just super bad. No one ever played it, and it didn't really work with energy, and it certainly didn't work with Thopters.
If you played blue-red, you played Teamer, basically.
Yeah, but then it was splashing red.
Yeah, exactly.
So it didn't count.
No.
That was Simic, and it splashed Welding Sparks and Whirler Virtuoso.
But it says improvise on the card, so
it should care about artifacts.
It should care about artifact and flyers. So
and artifacts and maybe steal energy, maybe.
Yeah.
But also maybe more Thopters.
Yep.
But please, if you know more, you can comment.
Yeah, you can.
But we will give it
leave
a try.
Comment. Yeah, we'll try to evaluate it. And if you look at an uncommon, you have on blue a 6-mana 4/3 flyer with improvise.
Yeah,
so
the Winkin Raiders.
This kinda works in a flying improvise deck.
Yeah.
You get Thopters or servos, and you can put this out.
It could maybe be a finisher in a blue-black artifact deck as well.
Yeah, for sure.
But we'll have to try to split them up in our mind.
And on common, we have Aether Swooper, another flyer, and it has some energy, and it creates servos. So I see some connection here.
It's not Thopters, but it's servos, and the servo can work with improvise for the Raiders, for example.
Raiders, yeah.
And Swooper in a dedicated energy deck might be good there too.
Yep, and we have the Enraged Giant.
In red uncommon.
6 mana 4/4. But it has improvise and it has trample and hate. So
And
this is like where you can see the tempo and the evasion.
This might be even more for like a Artifact Aggro deck. But if blue-red could be some sort of maybe improvised tempo deck with flying and other type of evasion, maybe the giant. I mean, maybe it can be because earlier you usually played blue-red tempo in limited.
Yeah,
but it was some time ago now.
So the cons.
Yeah.
And it also fits with the common, which is the Sweatworks Brawler. 4 mana 3/3, also with improvise and it has menace. So
maybe you on turn 2 play the guy that creates a 1/1. On turn 3 you cast this, and on turn 4 you cast a giant or something.
Yeah,
maybe. But again, this might just go into a red-black aggro deck.
Sure.
But we don't really know about blue-red, so
no,
we'll leave it at that.
I think so.
And move on to a blue-green. And here again, it looks like it's about energy at least. Rogue Refiner is a 3 mana 3/2, usual stats in Kaladesh. And when it enters the battlefield, you both draw a card and get 2 energy.
Yeah, so it replaces itself and it leaves back 2 energy.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm glad to play this card.
Yeah, it looks it's pretty weird art. It's like a
guy finding a seashell or something.
I don't know, but the card is good.
Yeah.
And if it's still about energy, we can look at some blue cards. Here we put Skyship Plunderer as one of the uncommons because it's just a good creature and you can get energy when it hits.
Yeah, we think that blue-green might be energy counters, so it's a theme with both counters and energy.
Yeah, it's mostly energy.
And this can both give you energy and it boosts your counter, so I don't know.
But another more, I guess, energy-based uncommon is Shielded Aether Thief, which is a 2 mana 0/4 flash that says when it blocks you get an energy, and this is one of the few energy sinks from Aether Revolt. So this might be important in a blue-green heavy energy deck. I mean, sometimes in the last set we had 16 energy just lying around.
Yeah.
And then you could just
you draw a card each turn.
Yeah.
Why not?
And if we move on to a blue common, we have, for example, Shipwreck Moray, which is looks pretty defensive, which is pretty similar, I guess, to the crab.
Yeah.
From the last set. It's a 4 mana 0/5 instead of a 5 mana 4/4. But it also gives 4 energy when it enters, and it can then turn into attacker later.
Yeah, it's an energy sink, and it might chip in for some damage.
Yeah, and this could also maybe work in blue-red, for example.
Yeah.
If that cares about energy. And moving on to green.
We found another energy sink.
Yeah, it's like the only energy sink. Now we're looking at commons and uncommons. Pima Aether Seer, which is a 4 mana 3/2 that can generate a lot of energy when it enters because you get 1 energy for the equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. So if you have a 4/4, you get 4 energy. If you have only this, you get 3 energy.
Exactly, minimum 3 energy.
And it can give you this weird pseudo removal because you can force something good to block your attacker.
Yep.
But green didn't have much else that you could sink the energy
You
to.
will still get 1 pack of Kaladesh, and there you have some good energy
and
sinks.
there might be some rares that we haven't really looked at.
Yeah.
Or myths.
That we have looked at, but we're not gonna mention.
No, not mentioned here. And just a random other energy card on common. We have Highspire Infusion, which is a 2 mana instant, which basically is Giant Growth plus 2 energy.
And
so,
if you can use the energy, then this 2 mana might be worth it. I mean, this could be like 1.5 mana to cast this if you can really use the energy.
Yeah, and it's a fine combat trick.
Yeah,
and it might work also in
but let's say
green aggro deck.
You played the 0/4 flash guy. You got an energy from that and got 2 energy from this, and you draw a card. I mean, sure.
And I mean, red-green is probably still aggro energy, and this might just be a combat trick there.
Yep. We move on to red-green or green-red.
Yeah.
So this is the Stompy deck, I guess. If you look at the Outland board, uncommon, It's a 4-mana 4/4.
With some sort of
And it can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. So it can't be chumped or double blocked by 2 random 2/2s or something.
In Kaladesh, the uncommon was more about energy. But this might still be just the energy aggro deck.
Yeah. If you look at a red uncommon, we have Scrapper Champion. So this is a very good aggressive energy card.
And you might play this in a deck that doesn't care that much about energy.
No, because you don't really need to use energy. But obviously building this up with energy is a lot better than not building it up.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 3/3 double strike on turn 5. And then it can just escalate from there.
Yeah. And a common, you have Aether Chaser, so 2-mana 2/1 first strike. And it's the one that enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy and you can pay 2 energy.
It's pretty similar to red-green. I mean, you had Thriving Grubs.
Yeah, Thriving Rhino, I guess.
No, yeah. Just cards that randomly also gave you some energy, and then you could then later give stuff haste, you could do stuff like that. And it's just a good creature.
Mm-hmm. And on green uncommon, we have Maulfist Revolutionary.
For example.
3-mana 3/3 Trample. That's why we picked it, because it's an aggressive card.
Yeah, Trample is aggressive. It's an aggressive ability.
And 3-mana 3/3 is also pretty aggressive. And when it enters the battlefield or dies, you either pump up your energy or you put some counters on something. I don't know.
It could be just you get more energy if you don't have any other targets. And compare that to the last set where this type of deck also played the 3-mana 3/3 haste from red, which was double red instead. This is pretty close, but it's
Brazen Scourge.
Brazen Scourge, yeah. So this goes in the same type of deck.
And a common that works here is Aether Stream Leopard.
The new Brazen Wolf.
Yeah, 3-mana 2/3 Trample. When it enters the battlefield, you get 1 energy and you can pay 1 energy when it attacks.
And this is the perfect type of creature. If you just have like 2 random energy lying around, this would be a 4/3 Trample for 3 turns.
Yeah.
So, yeah, perfect for that type of deck. From there we can go to black-red, which we think, looking at the uncommon Well-Fast Engineer, it's a 3-mana 3/3 aggro, and it says at the beginning of combat, which is, I mean, an aggressive start of a sentence, target artifact creature you control gets +2/+0.
And we know from Kaladesh that red black was kind of similar. It had a lot of artifacts that all were aggressive.
Yeah. You played
Well-Fast Monitor, for example.
Cares About Artifact Aggro deck, which also had the best removal in the set that also gave them damage if you had artifacts.
Yep.
So the archetype hasn't changed.
No, it hasn't. But I think at least the black creatures have changed.
Again, black just didn't really support the archetypes that much. We could look at Ironclad Revolutionary as some sort of aggressive curve topper, which is a 6-mana, potentially 6/6 that
it takes away 2 life.
The Cares About Artifact part and loses 2 life. If it said you gain 5 life, it's not an aggressive card.
No.
But since it really wants to ship out those 2 damage.
But 6 mana is a lot for an aggressive deck. But
you have to have this as your one-off curve topper.
Yep.
It could also go in some sort of counter deck, but I don't really like the card.
No.
Another card that could work here as well, just because it could be a pretty aggressive flyer, is Night Market Aeronaut. It's a 4-mana 2/2 flying, but if you trigger Revolt by losing your creature in combat or
sacrificing
whatever,
something,
or using I don't know, you could maybe have a pseudo sacrifice theme in the deck, and this is a 4-mana 3/3
flyer, which is
fine.
Yeah, it's aggressive.
Red was a bit more. Either you could use the aggressive improvise guys here. If you have artifact creatures and random artifacts because the deck cares about it, you could play a 3/3 menace or a 4/4 trample haste.
Yeah.
But we also looked at cards like Ravenous Intruder, which is a 2-mana 1/2. The new 8-dog basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Sacrifice an artifact, it gets +2/+2. Maybe this is the deck for it.
We know that this is a good effect, but we don't know how much our artifacts that can support it.
No, but if it's a deck that wants to use this, it's either black, red, or maybe some sort of blue-red token deck. We don't know.
We might.
And similar on the common, we have Emerald Gear Smasher, which is a 3 mana 2/3. Where again, you can tap and sack an artifact to deal 2 damage to an opponent, which is an aggressive effect.
It's gonna be fun to play with these cards and see how much artifact you can sack.
Yeah,
I mean,
we will probably not be in this archetype that much.
No, I don't think so either. But it might work. I don't really know.
No, we'll have to see.
Yeah. And moving on to the last archetype, we have green-black or black-green, which has a pretty good uncommon.
Our best archetype from the last set.
I still think it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
At least the green cards. The black cards,
yeah,
not
it's,
so much.
It's black. Black looks weak, I think.
Me too.
Barring the removal.
Yeah. So it's called the Winding Constrictor. It's a 2/3 snake for black-green. So pretty good stats for 2 mana.
This card is busted.
And it says that if one or more counters would be placed on an artifact or creature you control, that many of those counters +1 are placed on the permanent instead.
Yeah, just randomly put 1+1/+1 counter, then you take 2, etc.
And this also works well with the theme, I guess. So with the counters theme, and I don't remember if black-green had any real energy.
You can have green energy cards.
Yeah, you can have green energy cards. So yeah, it works with that as well, I guess.
Yeah, sometimes in the last set you had a black-green deck that had 2 or 3 Die Youngs, maybe a Live Fast, and a lot of green cards. I mean, you could play Long Tusk Cub, Thriving Rhino, Pima Outrider didn't really do that, Riparian Tiger. Yeah, could get a lot of energy.
Exactly. So and that also puts 1 more energy on you. So
yeah.
So looking at the black cards, we have one on uncommon, the Foundry Hornet. So it's a 4 mana 2/3 flying.
Yeah.
And when it enters the battlefield, if you control a creature with a 1+1 counter, which you probably will,
probably should have,
you give -1/-1 to your opponent's creatures.
Yeah, and that
I think that's pretty good in this.
Yeah. Was a really good board sideboard card in the last set, and randomly now, I mean, you could get all the 2/1s, the 3/1s,
and we all
the 1/1s.
All remember Tooth Collector. You always got blown out by the Tooth Collector.
Yeah, that was a good card. And okay, this costs 1 more, but it collects all the teeth.
Yeah,
from
all the teeth.
Yeah, and it's a cool card. It's not like, it doesn't look busted, but on some boards it could be.
And it could be blowouts in the beginning of the format when people don't really play around it.
Yeah, they just make 2/1s and 1/1s, and then you get a 3/1.
And they block like your 2/2 with the
second main. It's perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
On the pre-release, sandbag it, and the second main just.
That's what Tooth Collector did. You sandbagged the hell out of it.
And then you took their teeth.
And then on green you have a lot more cards.
We have to say, we didn't pick any more black.
No.
Because it didn't have anything.
Nope.
That really looked good for this archetype.
So if you look at green, you have on uncommon, for example, Lifecrafter's Gift. So 4 mana instant, you put a 1++1 counter on 1 creature, and then you put counters on each creature that already has a creature.
Yeah, and let's say you have the snake out. Yeah. So first you put 2 counters on something, and then you put 2 counters on everything else, including that guy.
Yes.
So something could get 4 counters at the same turn. I mean,
if you have 100 counters on the same turn.
No, but let's say you have a 2/2 flyer out. You play this, put 2, and you have the snake.
Yeah.
Put 2+1% counters on it, and this effect does whatever. Then you attack for 6 in the air the same turn.
Yeah.
So in the right deck, it's also instant, so you can do this mid-combat.
Yeah, and 4 mana is pretty cheap, I guess.
Yeah, but in the right deck.
And then you have Ridge Scale Tusker, 5 mana 5/5.
Do that 1 turn.
Yeah.
The turn after you play Lifecrafter's Gift. Win more, I guess, but...
Yeah, but it's not super irrelevant.
No, but the Tusker, I mean, it's a 5 mana 5/5 that puts a counter on each creature you control.
Very good.
It's basically the poor man's Geralt.
And on common, just a 2 mana 0/0, I guess, Cat Monkey.
Scrounging band.
But it enters the battle with 2 counters, and you can move around counters.
Yeah, this looks like a perfect enabler for the archetype.
Exactly.
Like Seed Sculptor.
Hmm.
And worst case is a 2-mana 2/2 that also has the counters.
Yeah, and it can get value from stuff that cares about counters.
Yeah.
So, okay. I guess that was it with the archetypes.
Yeah, most of them are pretty straightforward. Blue-red is a bit weird. Blue-black isn't super obvious looking at the signpost on common.
No, and I guess...
White-green has shift gears a bit.
Yeah, sadly. I actually
Yeah,
liked...
but they're not fabricating anymore, they're just revolt.
I know, but I liked Fabricate.
So I guess that's why. But if they really want revolt, it doesn't matter. Maybe it's fine that 2 archetypes cares about it.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you enjoyed the set reviews and the archetype discussion, please leave a like. If you disagree on something, give us a comment.
Give us a comment, and as I said, hit subscribe button.
Yeah. All we want is likes and subscribes.
Okay. Yeah.
See you later.
See you. Bye.